Hi folks, August is rapidly coming to a close, and I know that over the past several weeks in particular, there have been a number of questions about the extensive construction that's happening relative to solar carports and items such of that nature across the Mamaroneck Public Schools. And I wanted to take a few moments today to just walk the community through what's known as our energy performance contract and what that means for the Mamaroneck schools. But the big picture view of that is really an effort from the schools to decrease our energy cost, to allow us to do a lot of infrastructure work without going out to bond, so saving our taxpayers money, and obviously to reduce our environmental footprint across our 6 schools. And there have been a number of questions raised across the community that I do want to take a moment to address today. These general questions include: what is an EPC, an energy performance contract? What is the scope of work that is included in the district's energy project? How does an EPC work? What does the EPC entail explicitly for the school district? And most importantly, what steps did the district take to move forward with this energy project? So first and foremost, what is an energy performance contract? In simplest terms, an energy performance contract is the district incorporating a number of energy saving measures across the district that allows us to offset utility bills and electric bills and reduce our overall output of energy. There are a significant number of sustainable energy upgrades occurring throughout the district as a result of this EPC. Those include solar carports, they include lighting upgrades, they include HVAC upgrades, they include the installation of modernized boilers across large aspects of our district. That infrastructure work in and of itself is somewhere around $13 million in infrastructure work, separate from the installation of the solar carports. The solar panels generate significant energy cost savings. They allow for federal and state incentives and state building aid, all of which then flows through the district and offsets the cost of those other additional improvements. It's important to note that EPCs are relatively common in New York State, and by law, they are required to pay for themselves. The EPC project has taken several years to come to fruition. The project itself was initially conceptualized in the 22-23 school year through work across our Buildings Committee. The Buildings Committee consists of Board of Education members and local residents who have expertise in areas of this nature. Following the conceptualization of the project itself, a thorough procurement process was followed by the district, and that procurement process was publicly presented across the span of 3 different Board of Education meetings, where those experts were brought forth before the Board of Ed and publicly answered questions about the scope of the project, the impact of the project, and the general project process. It's also important to note that an EPC does not require voter approval. However, the district knew that they would receive 10% additional building aid if the proposition was put forth before our community, and in May of 2023, this question was put to our community to move forward with the EPC and was passed overwhelmingly by the community. All of the plans for the energy performance contract were submitted to New York State and were approved by the state before the district embarked upon the project. Additionally, all plans and specifications for each energy conservation measure to be undertaken at our schools and facilities were submitted to the State Education Department for review as required by law. The state approved our EPC, and as a result, SED issued building permits for our energy project, providing the authorization needed to begin construction. I do want to also clarify a few misconceptions about the project itself. First and foremost, there's no battery storage in the solar panels. The power that is generated through those solar panels goes back to the grid, and the district is credited for that power. We anticipate that that credit will offset our electricity bills by approximately 31%, benefiting both the district and taxpayers. The district owns the solar panels. Once the debt from the solar panels is paid, the district reaps all of those long-term benefits. I also want to dispel the misconception that the solar carports in any way impede our first responders or alter the egress to our schools. It's important to note that the State Department of Education approved all of those plans, ensuring that we do not impede the egress of first responders or any emergency vehicles should there be an emergency at any of our schools. The issue of the floodplain in and around MAS is incredibly important to our community, and I want to confirm that the district, our experts, our engineers who have worked on this project, who have engaged in working through the assessment of that area, have indicated clearly that there will be no impact to the floodplain as a result of the district's EPC. I also want to assure our community members that our parking lots will be ready to receive our students, staff, and faculty once we open schools. That's required an inordinate amount of work over the past week or so, but we are confident and ready to receive our students and staff and welcome the opening of the 25-26 school year. I understand that this is a really nuanced process, understanding the scope of the EPC itself and the impact, and with the work delays that have occurred throughout the summer here. But I do want to make sure that our community knows that we are committed to being as transparent as possible, answering any and all questions. You will see documents on our webpage that will provide a more thorough overview of the EPC itself. And certainly we are going to be ready, willing, and able to answer any and all questions about the project itself. So, in a nutshell, the EPC allows the district to accomplish millions of dollars of infrastructure work without floating a bond to our community and burdening the taxpayers, without dipping into our reserves in any way whatsoever. And it allows the energy savings over time to pay for the project itself. It also allows the district to reduce their environmental footprint and allows us to be a good neighbor to the larger community.